Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the online class. How are you, everyone? I think you all are keeping well by the grace of Almighty Allah. This is Hasina Islam, lecturer, Department of English, Tongi Government College, Gazipur. This lecture is for the students of Honors Second Year. Dear learners, in our previous class, we have finished John Keats' Ode to Nightingale. So today we are going to start a new poem from John Keats, and we have another poet we have to finish, that is Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So after finishing John Keats, we will start Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Okay, so today we are going to start a new poem from John Keats, and it is, what is the poem? On First Looking into Chapman's Homer by John Keats. So this is a very nice poem. We will enjoy the poem, and before starting the poem, I will give you some information regarding this poem. So let's start. On First Looking into Chapman's Homer is a sonnet written by the English poet John Keats when he was just 20 years old. Actually, this is a sonnet, a very nice poem, a sonnet, and it was written in the early stage of his life. Actually, he was only 20 years at the time. So, essentially, it is a poem about poetry itself. Actually, here, the poet experienced a new type of, literary kingdom. He found that poetry is a vast area, and he could discover the kingdom of poetry. So he describing a reading experience so profound that an entire world seems to come to life. So it was an experience by John Keats. Actually, he wrote a poem by Homer's poem, and it was translated by Chapman, and that he was inspired after reading that poem. Okay, so on First Looking into Chapman's Homer is a sonnet written by the English romantic poet John Keats in October 1816. It tells of the author's astonishment while reading the works of the ancient Greek poet Homer, as freely translated by the Elizabethan playwright George Chapman. So actually, he was inspired this poem. The original poem was taken from the Greek poet Homer, and it was translated by Elizabethan playwright George Chapman. So after reading this poem, he was inspired to write down this nice poem. This is the poem is really an extended metaphor. Here you will find a metaphor here, in which the realms of gold are both Homer's ancient Grecian realms, traveled as kids read about them, and also the gold embossed spines and gilt-edged pages of the books themselves. Actually, he thought that it is a kingdom of gold. Why? Because Homer's works itself, it was a huge kingdom, and it was like precious metal like gold, because he found such a precious kingdom. This Homer's writing enriches his knowledge, his poetic power. That's why he compared Homer's writing as the realms of gold. Okay, so the kingdom of gold. So this is a metaphor, and in this the first quatrain of John Keats' sonnet on First Looking into Chapman's Homer, the narrator is discussing the experience of reading poetry. In the first stage of this poem, he just experienced the reading of poetry. The realms of gold in this poem can be considered either those of the imagination in general poetry, or specifically classical literature. You know, if you go through like classical literature, you will find, you know, the example of gold kingdom, and kingdom with so many precious metals and jewels. Okay, so this is taken from ancient mythology, classical literature. So now we are going to enjoy this poem. You know, this is a very nice poem. We've a very, very short poem also. So we are going to enjoy it. Okay. The poem is written here, and I think of course you will enjoy this poem very much.
Pearls of Wisdom on First, looking into Chapman's Homer by John Keats. Much have I travelled in the realms of gold, and many goodly states and kingdoms seen. Round many western islands have I been, which paths in fealty to Apollo hold. Oft of one wide expanse had I been told, that deep-browed Homer ruled as his demesne. Yet did I never breathe its pure serene, till I heard Chapman speak out loud and bold. Then felt I like some watcher of the skies, when a new planet swims into his ken, or like stout Cortez, when with eagle eyes he stared at the Pacific, and all his men looked at each other with a wild surmise, silent upon a peak in Darien.
So I think you all have enjoyed this poem. This was a very nice and short poem. And now I'm going to read out this poem for you once again. Okay. So on first looking into Chapman's Homer by John Keats. Much have I travelled in the realms of gold, and many godly states and kingdoms seen. Round many western islands have I been, which bears in fealty to Apollo hold. Oft of own wide expanse had I been told, that deep proud Homer ruled as his demons. Yet did I never breathe its pure strain, till I heard Chapman speak out loud and bold. Then felt I like some watcher of the skies, when a new planet swims into his ken, or like stout corse when he with eagle eyes stared at the Pacific, and all his men looked at each other with a wild surmise, silent upon a peak in dread. So this is about this poem. Today we have enjoyed this poem. In my next lecture, I will give you another other information regarding this poem, that is the summary, theme, and the literary devices used in this poem. I will discuss all these things for you. Okay, so I think you will of course you will go through the book, you will read the poem, and of course you will try to find out the unknown words also. And in our next lecture we will enjoy the rest of the part of this poem. Until then, Allah Hafiz, have a nice day. Thank you all of you.